Palestinian militants in Gaza fired dozens of rockets into Israel yesterday in response to Israeli airstrikes which killed at least 10 people. Day 3 of China's significant military exercises in areas surrounding Taiwan that have increased tensions in the region to their highest level in decades. Following a wave of Israeli airstrikes on Gaza yesterday, Palestinian militants retaliated last night. Videos on social media show the skies light up in central and southern Israel. Images broadcast by Israeli TV stations also appear to show a number of missiles being shot down by its Iron Dome missile defense system. Israel says it was targeting the Islamic Jihad militant group in response to what it described as a concrete threat.
Instruction received by security forces was unequivocal. Israel will not sit idly by. When there are those who are trying to arm its civilians, this government has a zero-tolerance policy for any attempt attacks of any kind from Gaza towards Israel. Terrorist organizations will not set the agenda.
Relatives of Palestinians killed in Israeli airstrikes gathered at a hospital morgue in Gaza, where their bodies are being stored. This image appears to show multiple strikes on a building targeting a senior Islamic Jihad militant. The organization says its commander for northern Gaza was among those killed. Palestinian officials also say at least 10 other people died in the rocket strikes, including a 5-year-old girl and a 23-year-old woman. Dozens others were wounded. The attacks have pushed the two sides closer to an all-out war. Israel and Gaza's militant Hamas rulers have fought 4 wars over the past 15 years. Although many companies have rerouted their ships from the busy shipping lane, these boats were seen sailing calmly in the waters of the China-Taiwan Strait today. This despite the fact that on Thursday, China began 4 days of military drills around Taiwan, including deploying fighter jets, firing live missiles, and sending 13 warships into the waters separating the disputed island from the mainland. The exercises are in reaction to a recent defiant visit to Taiwan by the U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. The scale and intensity of the drills have triggered outrage in the United States and elsewhere. As relations between Washington and Beijing nosedive, China says it's ending cooperation with the U.S. on key issues, including climate change.
There was no reason to have this escalation that we're seeing from China. It is fundamentally irresponsible what they are doing. And we'll continue our efforts to keep open lines of communication with Beijing while defending our interests and values in the region. This is what the world expects, the United States and China, and we encourage Beijing to keep this commitment as well when it comes to the dialogue, the climate dialogue that was canceled.
Meanwhile, Pelosi visited the joint security area of the demilitarized zone separating North and South Korea on the second leg of her controversial Asian tour. Pyongyang today referred to the U.S. House Speaker as the worst destroyer of international peace and stability.
Against a backdrop of non-stop Russian shelling in the Donbass region, Moscow and Kyiv have traded barbs on Friday about the bombardment of the Zaporizhzhia nuclear station. A Ukrainian nuclear group accuses Russia of launching 3 rockets at the plant. The pro-Russian administration in the occupied city says power lines were damaged by a Ukrainian strike. At the same time, Ukraine military is likely seizing a strategic initiative, forcing Russia to relocate forces and reprioritize efforts in response to its counter-offensive. Russian forces are increasingly transferring personnel and equipment to Kherson and western Zaporizhzhia oblasts, at the expense of their efforts to seize cities such as Severodonetsk, which appear now to be abandoned. All this as Russia's leader Vladimir Putin hosts his Turkish counterpart in the country's south. Moscow is looking for a deal to strengthen economic cooperation with Ankara. The Kremlin leader thanked Turkey for its efforts to reach an agreement with Ukraine on the delivery of grain from Black Sea ports that Russia was previously blocking. Meanwhile, Moscow says it's expelling 14 Bulgarian consular and embassy staff in response to what it calls an unmotivated decision to expel Russian diplomatic personnel.
Extreme heat and dry conditions are causing problems in various sectors across Europe, including agriculture. Sustained drought is devastating crop yields in several countries, such as Romania, with farmers reporting they have little or nothing to harvest.
There's nothing we can do. Each of us will have to figure it out on his own. The corn is dry, everything is dry. There will be no corn, not even a quarter of it. Some people may pick up something from here and there, but very little.
In Italy's Po Valley, rice crops are under severe threat as lack of rainfall is drying up paddy fields. That means more reliance on deeper groundwater, which is more salty. Farmers say harvests of risotto rice could be damaged for years and prices will go up.
I can't determine the economic loss just because, for example, the price of the fertilisers that we use increased from €40 to €120 per 100 kilograms. Since the quantity of rice is low, we don't yet know what the final market price will be.
France has just suffered its driest July since 1959, and nearly all the country's 96 regions have brought in water restrictions. In the middle of the tourist season, water was declared undrinkable in a part of the northeastern Vosges region because it's being drawn from a lake.
What worries me is that we were told a minimum of 48 hours, and I don't know how long it will last. I'll have to boil some if I need to, and then put it in the fridge. It's a bit more preparation, a bit more work, so it might become more complicated if it lasts longer.
And there appears to be no let-up in the hot and dry conditions. The country is bracing for its third heat wave this summer, due to start on Monday.
A rare two-headed turtle. It also has 4 front legs and 2 tails, but only 1 shell, 1 set of lungs and 1 intestinal system. Hatched in the Netherlands last week, its parents are Cleopatra and Pablo, owned by hobby breeder Ruben van Schoor. Experts say it has a good chance of living a long and healthy life. She's become something of an international celebrity, and now she's made Oslo her summer holiday destination. Freya, the 600-kilogram young female walrus's favourite pastimes include sunbathing, mostly on boats, and eating seafood. Locals have been flocking to see her, but they've been warned to keep their distance and be careful when swimming in the sea.
It's an event that young and old in Hungary look forward to every summer, but plans for this year's 20th of August St. Stephen's Day celebrations have come under scrutiny, in particular the eye-popping costs to host the spectacle. The Hungarian government is planning Europe's largest ever pyrotechnic show. Up to 40,000 fireworks will be let off along a 4-kilometre stretch of the Danube. But this bang will cost a lot of buck. Estimates say the bill could top €30 million. Due to the ongoing cost of living crisis, many have criticised the government's extravagant spending. One petition against the display has so far gathered 190,000 signatures. And some municipalities have cancelled firework displays from taking place, choosing instead to be frugal amid a worsening economic climate.
I totally agree that this money should not be wasted on fireworks. I think it's a nice idea that they should buy firewood for the poor, and it would be good to support families.
Other regions are taking a more democratic approach. Town councils are letting residents vote on whether they want fireworks or not.
There was a ballot paper in the local newspaper. Ballot boxes were placed in various places in the city, at the town hall, in hospitals, and even on buses. So everybody could choose whether they want fireworks or not.
Although many of the detracting voices come from opposition party-held areas, some Fidesz party councils are also feeling the pinch. Cities like Tihany, Balasagy-Armat and Sumeg are choosing to host light shows in place of fireworks. However, nobody could convince the mayor of the small town of Kistarksa. He will pay for the 20th of August fireworks out of his own pocket.